Today we are going to learn about Java and SOA, mainly focusing on SOA. Okay, so how exactly it works is that we have online classes, and all the classes are recorded, and it is 24/7 support. And at the end of the class, you have a module-wise quiz, and at the end of the course, you need to develop a project, and you will get a certificate based on the project, right? So, so you will be learning these things in the today's class, right? What is Java? What are the advantages of Java? Okay, and we'll be having we'll be knowing about SOA and what are the users, how it works, what is the architecture, and all we'll be discussing. And I'll be demonstrating the web services to you. Right. Okay. Introduction to Java. Okay, Java is developed by Sun Microsystems, by James Gosling, and initially it started it was named as Oak, and later on it was renamed to Java. Some of the advantages of Java are concurrent, class-based, object-oriented. Okay, what do you mean by concurrency is parallel transactions. It's like more than one task at the same time. Okay, for example, you can do in a Word doc, you can type your text, as well as you can search for a string in that. So two tasks can run in parallel. If you look at gaming also, right, two cards can move simultaneously. So the code must have written only for one card, but due to concurrency, so the code can be executed multiple times. You will see as if more number of cards are seen, right? So the advantages of concurrency is that the speed. Rather than one task, you can do multiple tasks at the same time. The speed increases, right? The features of Java. Java is simple. It's not very complicated to write programming like any other programming language like COBOL and all. For simple string to display, you need to write 21 lines of code in COBOL. But in Java, it is like one line if you just want to display one hello world. Java has got a lot of security features. And portable. Portable is, since Java is platform independent, that means to say you can write the code in Windows and execute the code in Mac. I mean to say Java code in Windows, compile in Windows, take the code and run in another operating system. So it is easily portable from one operating system to another operating system. In a sense, if I write a complete project in Linux, I can take and execute in Windows. It's very easy. Object-oriented. Java has object-oriented facility. Robust. Java is very strong. It has got exception handling facility and a lot of facilities like that, so that it is strong. In C++, if you consider, the pointers are there. Due to pointers, there is tendency to crash the program at many times. Since pointers is taken internally by Java and not allow the developer to code in it, then the robustness of the program has become more. It's become much more stronger. The next is multi-threaded. Multi-threaded is, as I said in the previous slide, concurrent transactions. Right? You can perform more than one task. Here, thread is a task. Multi-thread means multiple tasks. So multiple tasks running at the same time is one of the features of Java. What happens when you run multiple tasks at the same time? The speed of the system increases. As I said, if I can run 10 tasks at the same time, the speed increases by 10 times, right? Architecture neutral. Java is not depending on any architecture, in the sense like 386, 486 CPU, any hardware it can run on. It is not depending on any particular hardware. If you can install Java on a system, then you can write a Java code and start executing. As I said, the high performance. See, when it is multi-threaded, right? So multiple tasks are run at the same time. So the performance naturally increases. And the last point, the distributed. It is not required. Java, one of the best feature of Java is distribution. It is not like I need to run my entire project in one system or one location. I can I can have the Java put into different locations. For example, okay, one part of the module I can put it in California, another part in some, in Boston, another part in New York, right? So I can distribute the modules of Java and I can connect them without any time intervention. In no seconds I can connect module from Boston to New York. It's as if the two systems are keeping each other next to each other where Java is used. Java is very, very popular, extremely popular. It has taken almost 80% of the market share in terms of development. You take up any system, you have Java in it. Nowadays, we have mobiles. In mobile, Android is very famous, and Android is developed in Linux on Java, like Java platform, Java on Linux. Okay. If you can look at, it is used in many of the pieces, and even in nowadays they program cars using software, and even for programming in cars also to run the car, some of the features of the car to run automatically, they use Java. Chrysler is one of the company which uses Java for developing the software for cars. Okay. It's used for Android applications, it's used for Hadoop applications, and Java is used in a lot of frameworks like Hadoop, Spring, Hibernate, Structs, so many tools, and it's huge market about the Java, right? And so it is used to develop business process management tools, web servers. Some of the web servers like Glassfish, WebLogic, WebSphere, and web services, IIS, Tomcat, application servers like Glassfish, WebLogic, WebSphere, etc. So Java is used for a lot of development in the current trend. Okay, some of the technologies of Java. There are more than 50 to 60 technologies are available in Java, but some of the best technologies which is currently used right now is like JSPs. JSPs is basically used to display web pages. It's like you can develop web pages in HTML and include Java also as part of it. Spring is a framework which is used. Spring has almost all the Java technologies in it, and it is used as a middle layer of the project. Here I'm talking about MVC architecture, that is model view controller, that is the front end, the middle layer, that is the actual logic will be performed, and the back end. Okay, the back end is the database where you connect to the database and get the data from the tables. Okay, so the first technology which came up from Java to connect to the database is JDBC. So after that, Hibernate is a framework which was built on to get the data from the database. Hibernate is a framework which is built on JDBC technology. It is very, very easy. In Hibernate, you need not write complete SQL. You have certain methods in Hibernate where you use that methods. Internally, Hibernate converts into SQL. So you don't need to write SQL code in Hibernate. That is one of the advantage of Hibernate. As I said before, you have many other applications, many other tools you can develop. That is, Android is being developed, web services are developed in Java. Okay, it is used in banking. SOA is used in banking. It's like I have an application which I want to connect to a bank and get the approval for the debit transaction or a credit transaction, right? So I will be using SOA architecture. I'll be connecting with the bank and I'll provide all the details to the bank and get the approval. Either it's approved or decline the transaction. Even in manufacturing also, SOA is used. That is, if actually in any manufacturing unit, they will maintain the inventory, right? If they will have a minimum level and maximum level for any component. If the level of the component, if it drops down to minimum, below minimum, right, it has to be informed to the vendor so that the stock gets refilled in. So, but by using SOA, you can reduce a human intervention. The moment the stock reduces, then automatically it informs the manufacturer and the vendor, and vendor acknowledges and refills in. Here, there is no human intervention is required. Okay, even in insurance, let's say, like, if an employee joins the organization, and we need not manually give all the details to the insurance company and get the employee insured. So we have all the details. We need to have, if we can develop a software using SOA, we can just connect to the insurance company, provide all the details, and the insurance happens, like the insurance is done for the employee and insurance policy is being sent by email. Everything happens automatically. So you don't need to manually give all the details to the company for the work. Okay, some of the companies uses the SOA architecture is ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, a lot of banks. Like any bank you take it up, right, it will be using the SOA architecture, because any bank which provides the credit card, they need to support SOA architecture, because they need to give on the web whether the credit card transaction is approved or declined. If they want to go ahead for like if they want to process credit card transactions, then they have to support SOA. Right. Some of the other companies in IT sector are using SOAs: IBM, HP, Oracle, Google, Amazon. It's like the list goes on, right? So right now without SOA in a huge organizations, it doesn't work. Even for any transaction, see, the basic idea is, if we want to reduce a human intervention and we want to connect automatically and things to happen automatically, then SOA has to be used. Okay, some of the companies which uses SOAs for manufacturing purpose: Apollo, Maruti, Hyundai, and many more companies. Okay, and Harvard Medical School and all its hospitals uses the SOA architecture. SOA architecture, if there is a lot of demand in everywhere for SOA architecture. If you look at the trend, so this is like, so a lot of job demand is also there. It is that we write the code and use the services on the other side without human intervention. Everything is automated. Okay, that is the main advantages of SOA. Okay, why SOA? That is, let's say if I'm starting some company and I don't have the expertise in it, right, in one of the fields, or not all the fields, one of the fields. In that case, what I do is I outsource the work. I use the work. Part of the work I use from others and plug in that component as part of me, right? So that becomes the SOA. If it is not there, I have to develop everything on my own. Then it increases the speed to deliver, and when the time to deliver is more, definitely the cost also goes up. So to reduce the cost and to deliver fast, then I need SOA. And one of the problem of not having SOA is, that interoperability. Interoperability means, let's say I have two systems, dissimilar systems. For example, I have a Macintosh, I have a Linux system, okay, and I want to connect both of I want to connect these two systems and communicate with each other. I want to use a Linux system to use the services or the product which is installed in the Macintosh machine. It is impossible without SOA. Okay. What are the advantages of SOA. As I said, if I use the services from the other company or the other vendor, okay, I'll have these advantages. That is, speed to deliver the customers will be more. Like, I can deliver very fast. If somebody is specialized in that area, I will use the services of them so that I can deliver the service to the customer fast. So the cost reduces and customer can get reliable delivery. It's like I develop mobile and I talk to Android to install Android on my machine. I don't invent OS. I'm a mobile manufacturer, but I need OS. I'll use the architecture given by somebody else who is like specialized in that particular subject, right? The customer service is improved, and as I said, interoperability can communicate with similar and dissimilar systems for exchanging information and data. Okay, Anand has asked, like, what is the difference between SOA and web services? Yeah, SOA is the concept, so the strategy. Web services is the implementation of it. I'll just tell you in a while, right? It's like object-oriented programming and Java, right? Object-oriented programming is a concept. It's a technology. It's a strategy, right? It's a software engineering concept, right? So Java is used to implement SOA, means object-oriented programming. You look at object-oriented programming, you have like polymorphism, static polymorphism, runtime polymorphism, encapsulation, data hiding. These are all the the concepts under object-oriented programming. I will use Java or a C++. I'll use Java to implement them, right? Similarly, the SOA and web services. SOA is a concept which will be implemented through web services. Okay. SOA stands for Service-Oriented Architecture. It is a design pattern or software architecture which provides application functionality as a service to other application. SOA functionality is not depending on any vendor, product, or application. One of the functionality provided by SOA is getting online bank statement. The functionality can be combined with other features of the application to provide the full-fledged application. The application will use service provided by the vendor or the network without human intervention. The simple meaning of SOA, functionality or functions provided by a vendor or internet or network for a cost or no cost. SOA, in a simple terms, that we will be using, somebody will be developing a component or a service, right? And some other company will connect to the service and make use of the service. In a very simple terms, like once somebody will develop a service, will be using the service. For example, right, bank will provide a service saying that you give a credit card information and the required details over the web without human intervention. Through programming, you connect to me and I will tell you it is the transaction is approved or declined, right? So everything happens over the internet and no human intervention is required. Okay, that is SOA, service oriented architecture, right? Okay, if you look at the slide, right? So service provider, it's like, for example, in a bank transaction, right? So any bank will provide services, for example, credit card approval, debit card approval, then getting a bank statement, like, from this duration to this duration. All the facilities, functions will be provided as methods in a bank, right? They will publish it to a common broker, which is called as, in web services, it is called UDDI. When we look into web services in detail, we'll look at what is UDDI, how it has to be published and all. Then the consumer, right? Anybody who wants to access online bank statement through program, right? Not through logging into the bank and getting it. That is also possible, but this is also without human intervention. SOA is moves of a without human intervention. The consumer will connect to the service provider, that is bank. through service broker. That is, okay, then the consumer will directly talk to the service. It will interact over here. That is, the bank will make set of functions or a service, okay, and register saying that these are the facilities I have. You provide the, like, credit card number and all these details. I will tell you whether it is approved or declined, and you provide me the account number, name, and when, for which duration you want the bank online statement, bank statements, and I'll provide you that. All the features, all the facilities are provided by the bank and kept as methods or functions, okay. And as a consumer or a client can connect to the bank account, okay, bank bank, and use those services. Okay, this happens through SOA architecture. If you look at in detail, right? If you look at, like, this is application 1, all the applications, these are all the clients are a web application, right? This is the security layer, that is, it crosses through the security layer thing. Is it a valid user, or is somebody is trying to hack or something like that, right? And then this is the actual service provided. For example, if I can say bank transaction, right? So credit card, debit card, then, like, a checkbook request and monthly statement, transfer of funds from one account to another account. These are all the services provided by the bank. One is I can do online. Another one is I can do online. I mean, with, like, manually I can do online. Otherwise, I need not through program. I provide all the details and say click on OK, submit, and it will do automatically. It will talk to the service layer of the bank and crosses through the security and then performs. And it uses internally the database for providing the information. For example, if I'm asking for the bank details, it is transaction details, like for the last 1 month, it by providing the account details, definitely bank has to contact to the database, right, its own database, to see the complete transactions. Then only it can provide you. If you look at the architecture in detail on SOA, right, this is the consumer layer, that is the customer, the client. It has to get integrated with the SOA. This is the service provider, right? It has mainly 4 components. One is a business process layer, and a service layer, a component layer, and operational systems layer. That is, in a business process layer, it is meant for the business. That is the way the business has to take care. In the sense, like, there is certain way the business has to go. For example, for credit card transaction, I need to provide name, credit card details, CVV2, expiry date, everything I need to provide. This is required. First, it has to, like, check whether credit card details. If you look at the business process layer, service layer, and a component layer, that is business layer, a separate layer has been introduced to take care of the business, the way it has to go, the process. The business layer, mainly process is taken care. First, you have to get the details, okay? Then it has to be approved. Then it has to check in the database. Then you can respond back. The process is laid out in business layer, okay? And the service layer. Okay, one more advantage of the business layer is tomorrow, if there is any, why exactly the business layer has been introduced is, tomorrow, if there is any change in the business process, right, then it is easily accommodated in business process layer. Okay, that is only the reason one more layer has been introduced. Otherwise, if it is very tightly coupled, it will be very difficult. Okay, then service layer. Service layer is, it's the components. It's all the services put together. Okay, it becomes a service layer. It is like all the components in a jar file, all the class files in a jar file. It's like a service layer. That is, I have 10 services given by the bank. Okay, all the 10 services comes under service layer. If you go to the component layer, it is an individual service. Okay, I have 10 services, like, getting a checkbook, getting an online transaction, like, credit card details, debit card details, approvals, all these things. These are all the services laid down given by the bank, and it comes all this put together in one service. Okay, banking, it comes under service layer. Then, so individual transactions, right? Individual services, credit card approval are declining, right? So that comes under component layer. Individual service is a component layer. The the operational systems layer is the database. Okay. So if you look at this architecture again, the consumer and a consumer layer is a client. It gets integrated with the business process layer, and this entire process, like in a business process layer, service layer, component layer, operational system layer, all these are part of the service provided. Okay, business process layer is for business, right? So it can easily accommodate changes in the business. Suddenly they want to introduce something else in between two processes, right? New security has to be brought in. So then it is very easy in business process layer. The service layer is all the services provided by that organization comes under service layer, right? I may have 10 services, I may have 100 services, right? Component layer is individual service. I may be looking at individual service, right? So it comes under that, right? And that service, individual service, will talk to the database to respond to the consumer, right? Okay, now if you look at SOA framework, that's what I have told in the previous architecture program, that is consumer interface layer. This layer is used for by the customers. Business process layer provides the business process flow, also accommodates new changes in the business easily, hence this layer is provided. Service layer, this layer comprises of all the services in the enterprise. Component layer, this layer has the actual service to be provided. And operational system layer, this layer contains the data models, the database. It connects to the CRM, it connects to the backend database to fetch the data so that the client can get the information, right? Okay, some of the principles of SOA is, it's like loosely coupled abstraction. Like object-oriented programming, you have abstraction. That is what what actually is done in the code will be not shown to the client. Okay, so the client will give the information that what needs to be given, and he'll get the response that what is the output. Like, if I give the credit card details, it'll go and perform, like, it'll reach the bank, and bank will process internally what has to be done, and it will just respond it is approved or declined. The reusability, it's not like once the code is written, right, it can be reused, not only by me, any other company can use it, right? Not only my company, hundreds of companies can connect to the bank and get approval or declining statements for the credit card. Statelessness. The SOA architecture will not store the state of the user unless until it is required. The main purpose of this is to reduce the resources usage. Otherwise, it will be huge. Like if I get 10,000 transactions for approval and decline, if I start storing everybody's details, it'll be difficult. If it is required, it will be stored in the database, else it is not. The service discoverability, as I said, we will be discussing this in the class. UDDI. UDDI is for the services registry. Okay, the services has to be registered and it has to be accessed. Okay, if you can look at the slide, right? If you look at the slide, that is web services introduction. SOA is a concept using web services. Okay, and using web services, SOA can be built. As I said before itself, that object-oriented programming is a concept which need to be built in, and some of the programming languages like Java builds the object-oriented programming, right? So web services are the services provided on the net, right? It's the same as SOA. SOA is a concept which you need to bring in to the web services. Only through web services you can build SOA. Okay, producers will create services and publish. Consumers will look for the services and connect with the producers and will access the required services, right? As I said before, producers, that is, the companies will create some services or functions or functionality, put it on the web, okay? And consumers or clients can connect to the other organization through web using web services. You can implement web services in two ways. One is a SOAP, that is Simple Object Access Protocol. Basically, it uses XML, and another way is RESTful Web Services. Okay, a RESTful Web Services uses HTTP protocol. Okay, SOAP protocol is used to access web services, and SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol. Okay, the protocol is based on XML, and SOAP was designed in 1998 by David Winner, Don Box, Bob Atkinson, and Mohsin. Okay, this is how the architecture of the SOAP works. That is, the client, okay, the client puts the entire request. That is, if I want to have a credit card transaction, that is, the name, credit card details, CVV2, expiry date, amount of a transaction, it will be put in the request, and it will be sent on the web, okay, to the service provider. Okay, it will reach the bank, and bank will take it and look at the SOAP message and get the input what the customer wants and process the required details and response back. This is a service, okay, and response back again in the SOAP format to the client. Okay, so the entire request will be put in an XML and it will be sent on web, on internet, to the service provider, right? Okay, if you can look at the slide. If you want to get the approval or decline status for credit card transaction from the bank using SOAP, okay, SOAP is Simple Object Access Protocol, that is, the input and output will be in the form of XML. Okay, following steps to be done or will be executed. In client module, write the details about the customer details like credit card, account number, expiry date, CVV2 in SOAP format. As I said before, that you write all the details, credit card details, into an XML file and in a SOAP format. SOAP is a format using XML, right? So the SOAP message is sent on web to web service which provides the desired service. For example, if it's a banking transaction, then I will put all the the details of the credit card and send it to the bank. Okay, so the web service unpacks the SOAP message and convert into a command that the application can understand. Application will get that is, application here in our example, application will get the credit card information, does the required processing, and generates the response, either approve or decline status in SOAP message. That is what happens. The bank will get the SOAP message as a request, and it will see, it'll convert back to a command and understand what is the input required, what is the input given, and what output is required. Then it will call the corresponding method. The method will perform the required operation and generates the response back in SOAP format, and the SOAP message is sent back to the client, right? Again, the SOAP message will be sent back to the client, and client unpacks the SOAP message and gets the required information. That is, the client gets the information in SOAP format and take the output which is there in the SOAP format, okay, and understands it. So if you look at the client and server transaction is happening through in SOAP format. That is, all the details has been put in XML in SOAP format and sent to the server. Server looks at it, understands what the input is given, understands what is expected by the client, looks, processes it, and responds again back in the SOAP format, and client receives it, right? So this is one architecture using web service. SOAP is one protocol used on web services. It's the diagram. right? The client will send in the SOAP format to the web, on the web to the web service, and the server processes it and responds back again, okay, to the client module. Okay, some of the files generated in SOAP is whatever the service we have to write, it will be writing in the Java, okay, and we have a WSDL file, okay. WSDL stands for Web Services Description Language. That says, that file shows what are the services provided in the Java code, okay. So what are the services provided, and what is the input required, what is the output required, like this. And using WSDL file, the client can generate, okay, or write the web service and connect to the server.